America's ace of aces, Major Dick Bong, scored his 31st confirmed air-to-air victory on the 27th of October, 1944. American land-based planes had only been present on Philippine soil for 4 hours, since the Japanese had driven them off in the humiliating defeats back in 1941. On this, their first day back, the Army Air Force's pilots, under the personal direction of Generals Douglas MacArthur and George Kenney, were operating under the most stressful and most primitive of conditions. Their tiny group of 34 P-38s were outnumbered more than 20 to 1 by the land-based Japanese aircraft, and their single primitive airfield was completely surrounded. A respectable, growing corps of American ships cruised the shoreline immediately to their east, but the mighty Japanese Navy dominated tens of thousands of square miles all over the vast Philippine seascape. The U.S. Marines wanted to secure an area to the south, near the small settlement of Laptop, for future use as the airstrip that eventually became known as Sambabo. The Marines suspected a Japanese presence there, and 12 P-38s were ordered to strafe the area in support of the Marines, and to search out and engage any hostile aircraft seen en route. The mission for that day was designated Captive Green Flight, and it was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel George Walker. The first 4 aircraft to take off were all honchos, experienced aces, including Walker, Bong, Gerald Johnson, and Bob Morrissey. 8 other veteran P-38 pilots followed in short order. All in all, this was a very strong group. General Kenney, commanding the Army Air Forces in the South Pacific, had made certain that the first Army Air Force pilots into this hot zone were all extremely confident, competent men with lots of experience. Shortly after takeoff, Colonel Walker's P-38 had engine problems, and he had turned back, alone and disappointed.
Captive Green 2, this is Captive Green 1. I am hearing some disturbing engine noises. I think I got something wrong with my aircraft. I have tried everything I can think of, and nothing is working. I think I'm going to have to turn back to the barn. Captive Green 2, the mission is yours now. I leave this mission under your able leadership.
Roger that, Captain Green 1. This is Captain Green 2. Do you want an escort back to the barn?
No escort. Just save some Japanese aircraft for me to shoot at tomorrow.
Roger that, Captain Green 1. This is Captain Green 2, and I believe there will be something left of the Japanese Imperial Army Air Forces in time for your action again tomorrow. Good luck.
Captain Green Base, this is Captain Green 1. I am headed back to the barn. Would you please alert those United States Navy aircraft carriers and all of their guns that I'm coming over them in a P-38 and I do not want to get shot? Thank you.
Roger that, Captain Green 1. We sure will do that. And be advised, landing zone is clear. Landing zone is clear.
Thank you. And kindly have my crew chief and all of his staff meet me out on the tarmac with their tools. And tell them if they got any dates with the native girls, they gotta cancel them.
Okay, Captive Green Flight, this is Captive Green 2. Follow my lead. And remember, when using the radio, do not use any map names or well-known place names.
"11 P-38s continued on in his absence, led by Johnson, Morrissey, and Bond. They flew south along the coastline, almost to the primitive new airstrip under construction at Dulag before turning inland toward Laptop. Almost immediately, the new radar operator back at Tacloban alerted them of enemy aircraft approaching from the northwest, and the 3 honchos turned to intercept them, while the remaining 8 continued toward Lapdock and the strafing assignment. The radar blips disappeared, but another group, 4 small Oscar fighters of the Japanese Army, was spotted approaching Tacloban from the north. Johnson led Morrissey and Bong back toward the coastline and then directly north in order to find them. It didn't take long. 2 Oscars were spotted almost immediately. Major Bong's after-action report describing the frantic action that followed reads like this, quote, "I fired one 90-degree deflection short burst at the lead plane, and then Major Johnson got on his tail. Colonel Morrissey got on the other one's tail, and I saw both Oscars crash in the water. I spotted another Oscar at 10 o'clock and gave chase. I closed in and fired, observing hits all over the airplane. He fell off on the right wing and went right on into the water. He started to burn just before he hit. I then saw another Oscar at 10 o'clock high and gave chase. I hit him a couple times, but he finally got away. Major Johnson and Colonel Morrissey shot down a valve while I was chasing the second Oscar. The combat took place at 5:20, and at 5:45 we broke off due to lack of targets." End quote. The Oscar that Bong had shot down was his 31st confirmed air-to-air victory, solidifying his standing as America's top ace at the time. Jerry Johnson was credited with 2 victories, bringing his total to 17. By the end of the war, Johnson would become the commander of the 49th Fighter Group with 22 confirmed victories. Meanwhile, the remaining 8 P-38s had turned northeast toward the action over Leyte Gulf. They encountered a group of Japanese Val torpedo bombers and destroyed 2 of them. After the Japanese left the area, all 11 P-38s returned to Tacloban to begin exploring their new base and the temporary campgrounds that had been set up to hold them. Cold sea rations and Spam stew would fuel their nervous bodies in preparation for the next day's action.
Captive Green 1, this is Captive Green 2. Captive Green 1, this is Captive Green 2. Did you get back okay?
Roger that, Captain Green 2. This is Captain Green 1, and I am not happy. My airplane is going to get a real good overhaul, and I am not going to miss tomorrow's action.
I recommend that you fly this mission as one of the honchos in the first group. Try to keep up with those first 2 P-38s after Colonel Walker turns off and returns back to base. In that situation, you can fly as Major Bong himself and live this bit of history at your pleasure.